Hello, today I'm going to be reading Iki The Littlest Opinion. Once upon a time, on a rocky shore in Hawaii, there lived a crowd of seashells. Twice a day, the tiny snails would crawl along the ocean's edge, following the gentle push and pull of the tide. Round P, as black as lava and speckled gray papuko'el, dotted the surf-swept shore. The bravest of all were the ohihi, clinging tightly to the rocks. They could withstand the mightiest waves with their rugged cone-shaped shells. "Stick to it!" they would rally as they huddled together amidst the pounding surf. "Stick to it!" they would cry, wave after wave crashing against the shore. "Stick to it!" Tiny Iki was the littlest Opii of all. He was a small and squat with teeny-weeny dome-shaped shell, and he carried like a little shield on his back. Iki had spent many days and many nights as a larva, drifting merrily in the ocean blue. He floated far and wide, with not a worry in the world. Now it was time for him to find a nice rock where he could settle down. "Settle down!" said his larva friends, and they found homes along the beach. "Settle down!" they called the seashells from the shore. "Settle down!" But the little Ohihi wouldn't settle down. He wanted to see the world. Iki drifted far and wide, far and wide. In time, the warm ocean currents carried Iki to the base of the coral reef. Spears of bright-colored coral towered above him. Sea fans swayed lazily on the tide. Anemones bloomed like daisies in the field of sea lettuce. Schools of dazzling reef fish grazed on algae. Little Iki was awestruck. "The world!" he exclaimed. Then, turning on his little snail foot, he slowly crawled away. Iki had seen the world. Now he was ready to settle down with his friends on the rocky shore. A great shadow passed over him. Iki looked up to see a large, gray-shaped, jagged white teeth glide by. The little Ohihi was not worried. He hadn't a care in the world, for he was much too puny for the shark to notice. Onward he crawled at the speed of a snail. Just ahead was a tangled mass of snaky tentacles. A huge hi'i loomed large before him. Great clouds of silt and sand billowed as the hi'i whistled a cowrie into his corally den. But Iki was not worried. He hadn't a care in the world. He was much too puny for the hi'i to eat. Still, he crawled a little faster towards the beach. As he cleared the sandy ridge, a large crab appeared before him. He was orange and hairy with sharp claws. On his back rode two anemones, like twin palm trees reaching skyward. Iki was not too worried. He was much too puny for the crab to notice. Wasn't he? The crab gasped and grasped at him with his mighty claw. "Stick to it," thought Iki, as he hunkered down beneath his little shell. "Stick to it," he muttered as he struggled to grip the sandy floor. "Stick to it!" But there was nothing for him to stick to. The sand shifted and slipped as he dug his foot deeper and deeper. "My, you're puny for an anemone," boomed the crab with a raspy voice, as he plucked the little Ohihi from the sand and placed him firmly on his back. Iki looked up. Big anemone to the right, big anemone to the left. little Iki in the middle, on the big back of the orange crab. He spread his little foot and held on for dear life as the crumb lumbered onward. The anemone to the right peered down at him. "You really shouldn't," he begun. "Be out here all alone," finished the anemone on the left. "I was headed for the rocky shore," stammered Iki. "Well, you are most fortunate," said one anemone. "Because that's where we're headed," said the other. "Stick to it and enjoy the ride," they said. Iki had a wonderful time atop the great crab back. No shark would bother him. No one would eat him. And crabs? Well, he had a crab of his very own. A messy eater he was. Little Iki and the anemones had plenty to eat. The anemones were safe. They, too, had seen the world and had many fine stories to share. When the crab reached the tide pools, little Iki let go and tumbled gently off the crab's great shell. "Goodbye, goodbye," called the anemones as the crab climbed away. Little Iki found a spot on the rock amidst a cluster of opihi. He settled down beneath the thunderous waves and held on tight. Twice a day, he and the other opihis would follow the ebb and flow of the surging tide. Sometimes the other opihi would whisper amongst themselves. "He's a wanderer," they would say. "He'll never stick to it." Iki ignored. One day, an opihi picker came to the rock with a sharp knife. He used the knife to pry the shells from the rocks and then place the shells into a bag. The picker held on tight as the treacherous waves crashed nearby. The opihi picker came to Iki and worked his knife under his little opihi shell. Little Iki grabbed the rock and held on. "Stick to it," he thought to himself. Just then, a mighty wave hit on the shore, knocking the opihi picker from the rocks. But the picker held on tight with his knife, which is still firmly stuck under Iki's little shell. "Stick to it," cried Iki as the ocean tried in vain to pull the picker out to sea. "Stick to it." The wave roared by. The exhausted little opihi let go of the rock and tumbled into the surf. The little opihi and the picker were safe. Together they washed ashore on the sandy beach. "This is it," thought Iki. The picker stooped down and to pick up the tiny shell. Little Iki lay on the palm of his hand. His shell chipped along the edge. But instead of placing Iki in his bag, he placed the little opihi back upon the rocks, and he opened his bag to release all the other opihi. "You saved my life," the picker said as he turned away to walk. "You must be my aumakau." Aumakau. Little Iki lived along the rocky shore, his body small and squat, with a teeny-weeny chip shell on his back. He was well respected by all the seashells, and was quite famous. Every larvae in the ocean blue knew the story of Iki, the sticky little opihi. Little Iki stuck to it. And what a ride it was!